Considering condo ownership, but not sure if you're ready yet. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through a virtual buyer consultation. These are some of the questions and some of the things that I talk about with first-time buyers when we first start on the process of buying a condo. I'm also going to be talking about some tools such as a mortgage calculator, and there's going to be links to those tools in the video description. Also, I do have a first-time condo buyer's guide, and there is a link in my bio if you want to download that guide. A lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about in this video are also covered in that guide. And of course, if you do want to book a consultation with me and you want to talk about potentially becoming a condo ownership or doing a gap analysis between where you are now and where you need to be to reach that goal, happy to do that. There's no obligation, and of course there is a link to book that call in my bio as well. So the first thing I talk with buyers about is make sure that they understand what it is to own a condo. When you own a condo, you own your unit and you own a proportionate share of the common elements in that building. So essentially, with all the other unit owners, you're a fractional owner of that condominium corporation. And a condominium corporation is a non-for-profit, so they're only supposed to take as much funds through maintenance fees as they require to operate that corporation. And you do pay condo fees every single month. Right now, the City of Toronto average is about $1 a square foot, but not all buildings are created equal. So it's not just about what those condo fees are, but also what is included in those condo fees. Sometimes I see buildings where condo fees may appear low, but they don't cover anything. And then I see buildings where the condo fees are about $1 a square foot and they may cover all utilities. Sometimes they may even cover internet and cable TV. So it's really about understanding that. The first step to starting your journey towards home ownership, though, is to speak to a mortgage broker. And I do have some great resources. Again, if you want me to connect you to one, happy to do so. But the purpose of this is to get a pre-approval, because you want to know what is your purchasing power and what the monthly carrying costs are, so that you can add up the mortgage, the condo fees, the property tax, and of course your homeowner insurance policy, to make sure that it's feasible for you and you're comfortable making those payments every single month. But it's also to establish what your budget is. And I never encourage buyers to go up to their maximum budget for a purchase. You want to give yourself some wiggle room, and you want to make sure that if something happens, such as interest rates change, or maybe you have a change of personal circumstances, you're still able to comfortably carry the monthly cost for that condo. Now, jumping back to the building, as I talked about maintenance fees, condos have amenities. You want to understand what those amenities are and if they're the right fit for you. Because, for example, it costs a lot of money to heat an indoor pool. It costs a lot of money to pay concierge to be at the front desk 24/7. If you're not going to be utilizing these services, well, you're still going to be paying for them through your maintenance fees. So make sure what you get and what you're paying for are as in line as possible. Location is also incredibly important, but that really depends on your lifestyle, whether you work from home, you commute. We have some great pockets in the GTA. Personally, I like Midtown, I like North York, I like Etobicoke. There are pockets in the downtown core that I would stay away from, and there are pockets in the downtown core that I think are great. But it's also about kind of like, what is your long-term plan for this condo? Are you going to live there for a set amount of years and then you're going to either rent it out or sell it and then scale up to a larger property? For most buyers, a condo is their entry point into building that equity into home ownership and building towards a freehold property. But there's lots of tools, and you don't have to have all the answers right away, but it's about at least having an idea. When I'm out there and I'm shopping for condos with buyers, for example, if they're looking for a one-bedroom condo, whether they have a car or they don't have a car, I always recommend they get one that includes parking. And the reason for that is, first of all, you can rent that parking spot out if you don't have a car. Second, for resaleability in the future, it's going to be a lot more favorable if your unit comes with parking. Condos with 9-foot ceilings, I'm also a big fan of. Higher ceilings make the space come to life and be a lot more open. Natural light, again, I'm a big fan of that as well. And for example, if they're buying a one-bedroom, whenever possible, get a 1+ den, get something that's at least or as close to 600 square foot as possible, if not larger. This is all just things that I look at when we're kind of thinking ahead into the future and resellability. I want to make sure that the type of investment that you're putting in today into that condo is going to be something that you're going to be getting returns on into the future. Now, buildings also have different rules, and these rules affect your lifestyle. For example, there's condos that are completely pet-free. So you can't have any pets. So if you're a pet owner or you're thinking about becoming a pet owner, you want to make sure that the type of pet that you're going to have aligns with the condo that you're going to be moving into. And building rules do change, and you do also have opportunity as a unit owner to be in the decision-making process. There's an annual general meeting that happens every year. You can also become a board of director if you want to, if you kind of want to navigate the direction that condominium corporation is going. There's a lot that goes into it because, as I mentioned, you're buying into that condo corporation. There's a document called a status certificate. It's actually a set of documents, and whenever I work with a buyer, I always recommend that any offer we put on a condo is conditional upon status certificate review by the buyer's lawyer. And the reason for that is these are kind of like the governance documents. They talk about the financials, they have minutes from the annual general meetings, there's building rules, building declaration in there. You want to make sure that everything is okay and that you're buying into a building which you're going to be able to continuously benefit from, and it's not going to be something where, for example, there's going to be a special assessment. And a special assessment is if a condominium corporation doesn't budget properly and they don't put a certain amount of money away, and then they have an unexpected repair that comes up, they may have to go back to unit owners and ask all unit owners to make an additional contribution. It might be one time, it might be spread out over a period of time, but a special assessment is kind of like a material fact, so it does impact values in that building. It's going to be in the status certificate, so any potential buyer is going to know about that, and ultimately it can hurt future resale long after a special assessment has happened. So it's important to work with an agent that understands the condo market and the history behind some of the buildings that we have in our condo market as well, because Toronto is one of the leading condo markets globally, but not all buildings are created equal, and a building may look like it has really appealing price points compared to another property, but there's often reasons for that. And the thing here is that buyers ultimately purchase the monthly carrying costs more than they're purchasing the actual cost of that condo. So if you see something that seems to be selling for a really low amount, it's possible that there's issues financially with that building, that it's hard to get financing on that building. You may need to put like 35% down to get a mortgage. There's a reason for that. On average right now, our market is trading at about $800 a square foot within downtown Toronto, and outside of that, around $700 a square foot. So entering into 2026, I'm seeing resale values that are in line with 2016 and 2017 numbers. So definitely it's a great time to get into condo ownership if that's something that you've been thinking about. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I do have a first-time condo buyer's guide. There's a link to that guide in my bio. If you want to get an understanding of what mortgage costs may be, I have a mortgage calculator that I've linked in the video description as well. It's from realtor.ca. And there's also a link if you want to book a call and you want to have a conversation about this. There's a link in my bio as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video to be insightful. My name is Alex Woniecki from Remax Condos Plus, and this has been another episode of your Toronto Condos. Thank you for watching.